Yeah. Tim?
A couple comments about some of the things.
Tim, would you introduce yourself and say just a little about you, because I know you have a very distinguished background and a Ph.D., so please let people know that.
My name's Timm Finfrock, and I'm the Chairman Emeritus of a company called the Interstate Traveler Company out of Detroit, Michigan. And we are a high-speed maglev transportation company utilizing magnetic levitation technology powered by what we've termed or coined the hydrogen superhighway. So a large focus of the focal point of our entire system for the world is a hydrogen-based economy. And how do we do that? Well, our plan is, and if you go to our website, you can see the entire program laid out there in extreme deep detail as to how our system operates. But basically, it's a multimodal transportation system that works on an IP protocol that literally provides a virtual highway of transportation traffic. The packets of information are actually the travelers that travel up and down the rail system. So we have brought into the virtual world the actual internet backbone of controlling by using the IP technology to control trafficking and traffic situations and monitoring and data pileup and so on. We use that technology. But anyway, the large part of that is we do that by utilizing solar technology to create about 1 megawatt of power per mile. That megawatt of power per mile is then taken and taken to power plants that are every 3 miles down the line, which contain electrolyzers and compression tanks to segregate the hydrogen and oxygen out of water through electrolysis, and then use that fuel during the nighttime of the solar day that you were talking about, and to power this system. Our system nationwide, when built on all 54,000 miles of the interstate freeway system, is capable of delivering 3.4 quadrillion BTUs of power. It solves the energy crisis that America is looking for toward the next 3 decades. We're 1,000 power plants short in America. Nuclear is not going to ever be even able enough if they could build them. They're not going to build coal fire. And we're not building power plants. We've dammed up every river and stream possible for hydro, and we're 1,000 power plants short. The only reasonable hope of being able to meet the power demands is through alternative sourced energy. The Department of Energy, hearing about our program, our project, and what we're doing, called me and called my founder and asked us to come to Washington, D.C. to make this presentation. We went there in hopes of meeting the brightest of the bright, the best of the best that our country has put together to represent ourselves and our needs for the future and the expansion and so on. We met with these folks, and after I had made the presentation about how the system works and how we generate power and electricity, they proudly presented their methodology of producing hydrogen for our economy, and that is through the refractoring or reforming of natural gas. I was frankly dumbfounded at that comment, and I asked the question. I said, well, isn't that not a depleting natural resource? He said, oh yes it is, but our new process is so good it's going to last us another 30 years longer than it would have.
And they will control it.
And they will control it. Right. And I brought back that. He says, well, but through solar, and the guy interrupted me and he said, solar technology is too expensive. I said, yes, David, it is today. But tomorrow this solar cell is going to be less, and the next day it'll be less, and the next day it'll be less, until the price is zero because it's sand. And while you, sir, continue to spend money on a fuel source that we have absolutely no cost control over whatsoever, is that not true? And he said, he paused. And the brightest of the bright in Washington, D.C., the Ph.D.s that we went to meet, paused and said, well, you do have a point. It was a long drive back home to Michigan. But the other thing is they'd seen our program, they'd seen the plans, they'd seen the engineering, the technology. They know that it's able to be reproduced. They said, we're behind you. This is what needs to be done. And they said, what can we do for you? And I said, who writes the checks here? And she said, I won't say her name, but she's a fellow Ph.D. head of the Department of Energy at the time, and she said, well, we have no money to give you. Our money's committed. I said, but certainly you have monies outside what Congress budgets for you. And she said, well, yes. And I said, where does that come from? And she smiled and said, well, we've partnered with the oil companies. The hundreds of billions of dollars to take us down the road toward technology is determined by the people that give them the money. They're developing this, and because, we talked about the government will always find a way to make money. Well, here's the issue as I see it. They have in place worldwide a system that is absolutely foolproof in the manner of which they can tax us for what? Oil. It's very definable. It's very defined. It's very finite. They can do it. They can track it, trace it. Comes out of the ground. Road tax, this tax, that tax, the other tax. Now, remove oil from the scenario and replace it with water. There is no system on earth, no program in place, no process to tax water. And even if they did or could, coming out of our spigots, what are they going to do about rain? And until we partner with them and give them and fulfill their greed back of the need to make the money that they need to do, and the sense that they're lost in revenues, these technologies like hydrogen or perhaps even solar to some degree, it's never going to make the light of day until the taxation base is figured out to where the government that controls us all can make their money. And having been there and presented to literally every department in Washington, the Department of Energy, the Department of Defense, the Department of Transportation, and everyone, and we have several states where laws have been passed, resolutions have been passed unanimously in both houses, naming this transportation system the transportation system of America. And we have literally got not a nickel from the people that you would think that would support an ongoing effort to bring our country out of the dismal state that it's in today and return it back to the country that was unrivaled in the 50s. Because taking 9,800 pounds of 9,800 tons of stainless steel per mile to build this rail system uses more stainless steel or more steel than World War I and World War II combined. The hundreds of millions of miles of effective wires and components and clips and toilet seats and doorknobs for traveler stations are phenomenal numbers that when you look at it from the point of view of producing this back in our country would return us back to a time that's been unrivaled in the Industrial Revolution. It is clearly not the plan of our government to bring our country back to that position. And having been there, witnessed it, been there, done that, have assured for it, it's a sad commentary to say that, but these are the facts. And that's why what we did, we said, well, okay, we'll go out and do it the way they did it. We'll create it, and we've created our own money, our own funding through international banking and trade. And you just go out and build it and do it, and then let them try to stop you.
You know, and that is very similar to the way the World Wide Web extended itself.
That's correct.
And it caused a vast explosion in the value of this economy.